over to our next topic, the Hunger Games. We also had just a week, isn't that right?
Yeah, sure, yeah, of course.
Mm.
Uh, Christian, could you refresh some of the plot?
Yeah, the plot of this movie is this character named Katniss Everdeen, where she lives in a kind of old age region that's very poor, both their families and all their friends. And then there's a yearly like tradition they have to join in on that basically means that they have to join in on the futuristic city that's called the capital and fight for the death. And what they have to do is take then blood tests and everything to queue up, and then two, one female and one male gets elected from the crowd, and those will be the fighters for that specific districts, because there are many multiple types of districts in that world.
How many? Wasn't there
Uh,
12
yeah, I think
districts?
it was 12. Yeah,
12.
12 districts.
Sure.
Yeah, and she was from District 11, right?
No,
Or
12.
was
That was
oh, it's
12.
12. All right, right. It's 12. Okay.
The shit is
Yeah,
12.
she's from District 11. I mean 12. Sorry. And then the election came up, and they basically explained how the Hunger Games worked. Yeah, of course it's called Hunger Games. And then her little sister, that was like 11 years old, right,
Mm.
got elected as a fighter, even though she was very frightened to be elected. And this made the main character, Katniss, very, very worried. So she then decided to take her place and go to the Hunger Games instead. And then, of course, one female got then picked, which was her, and then was one random male, and his name was Peter. And then the next day, I think, they got boarded to a train that goes to the capital. And then I guess Benjamin, you can explain what happens from there.
So, basically, they travel on the plane, no, on the train with an earlier victor in the Hunger Games from their district. He was kind of like a slob and didn't care at all about them. Um, so, but then they arrived in the capital, met the other, uh, met the chiefs and directors on the board there, and they had a week to prepare for the Hunger Games. During that time, they had interviews and training for the Hunger Games. So, because some of the most important parts is to have a good public image, so that the because this is like a reality show and a
Mm.
real reality show. So they got everything like wired up. So
Ok-
and
And also, the
yeah,
city they're going to, how would you describe the city and like the people there?
the people there are the rich guys. It's the
Mm.
most
The
wealthy
people from the
place in
capital.
their country uh, or world. We don't really know. And they have their hair is like fully dyed. Their clothes are really ridiculous. And my theory is that they come up with the Hunger Games because all of their hair dye got in their brains and made them crazy. Because
Yes,
of course,
I'm gonna say that's a very good theory.
of course.
Uh, so this would be like it would be set in a future, like a kind of dystopian future.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
I would say, um,
At least
and
within
of
the
course,
city, the districts are like kind of old times, but the
yeah,
city is more
like
futuristic.
the higher the number of the districts gets, the more like poor, the more poor they are.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
District 1 and 2 are actually kind of rich. People that are rich, even though they also uh, enter the Hunger Games, they are richer, they live better, and they train their whole life just for the Hunger Games, while District 10, 11, 12, just poor miners.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Christian, what would you say, like theme-wise? What would you say the the creator of the Hunger Games or the writer of the Hunger Games is trying to get through to us?
The game they're trying to explain like the difference between the poor and the rich, and how the rich uses the poor for entertainment, as in fighting to death. And it's a thing that's common in within reality, like back in times, like Roman times, where in the Colosseum at Rome, where bloody soldiers would fight to the death. That's basically the same concept. And this is basically then the dangers of capitalism and yeah, everything that's within the city.
You could almost say that in this future we've just really gone back in time, brain-wise.
Yeah,
Yeah, they.
and I say they're like using the same method of like
Enter-
fighting and such, but they have like more modern stuffs along with it. And yeah,
yeah. So I think it's also about
So they
like
use
reality shows. Um, it's like supposed to be a real battle between the districts, but everything's rigged. So it's kind of like the reality shows on television, but kind of a lot more deadly.
yeah, I'm more realism as in feelings and such, because they're still human.
I actually really like that idea of it, like it actually being this reality show that's just taken taken into the real world.
Hmm.
So it's not, yeah, it's not really fun and games for those who
Yeah,
are in the reality shows.
and you also get to, since Katniss is the main character and is within the games, you can see her perspective as in being in that reality show, and
Yeah.
like what's the reality of it.
Mhm. Um, who makes this reality show? Who thinks that this is all a good idea, and is really the creator of the Hunger Games?
That be Mr. Or President Snow, an old dude who has been the leader for a long time. He yeah, he has to he makes sure that the Hunger Games gets on every year so that they can see that they give hope to the other districts so that they can uh, do something, but that the capital really is the main source of power, and none of the other districts really
Yeah,
wouldn't get anything. But it's just to get a hope to the other
and also
districts.
and also one thing, President Snow says this is basically a tradition, so he really wants to keep the same rules and everything, and not make any changes and such. And like in this movie, the person that's called Rue, the second that's controlling all the functions in within the Hunger Games, made changes in the rules because they
Uh,
were
uh,
trying
No,
to.
no, 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 no. Rue was a
Christian,
black
Christian,
girl.
Christian. No, no, that was not
Oh,
Rogue.
oh,
That was
sorry.
not Rogue.
Okay.
Haymitch was the guy who was the leader of was the director.
He was a trainer.
No, he was the
Fuck!
trainer.
Ah, come on.
What was his name
But
again?
wait, no, no, no. The reason you guys are struggling right now, just to remember, it's quite common. It's just because he didn't actually have a name. We didn't get his name, so
All
just call
right.
him like the interviewer or something like that.
Yeah, but it's the man with the fancy beard and the fancy mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least he made changes within the rules because he wanted to have like Katniss to be the idol of the whole thing because many people liked her, and having Peeta along with her because they have like a love connection, and people would hate if that would like be broken up.
Oh,
And
so
since he
it's a
did,
love story.
what you say?
Did you say it's a love story as well?
Yes, but of course President Snow didn't like this because he didn't want to make any changes to the rules, so he punished this interviewer basically then by trapping him inside a room with the poison berries, which then means they gonna need to get another interviewer that controls the games normally.
But, boys, we have to get a move on here.
Yeah.
We talked about it, or you, Christian, talked about it earlier.
Hmm.
What do we think is the most important scene in the
Um.
movie?
Yeah, I think it's the most important scene is when Katniss takes the place of her sister instead. Because of course Katniss then is the main character, and well, it's the scene that decides she's going to the Hunger Games or not. And of course she goes because she wanna save her sister,
I
and which
actually
then
agree with
leads
that.
to what you say?
Uh, I actually agree with that.
Yeah.
A scene. I also think that's the most important one. Would you agree, Benjamin?
Yeah, of course. But also about it's also about the it explores about the society they live in.
Yeah.
They that's where you first like really feel the weight of the traditions they have and
Mm.
how it impacts the different districts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, lastly, any overall opinions, like both positive and negative, about the movie? Uh, yeah.
I I don't really I kind of enjoyed the movie. Like the plot was pretty good and like that stuff, but I didn't really get any connection with Katniss and feel anything. Um, Especially like with Rue was not the director. She was a little girl who helped her. She was from another district who helped her in the Hunger Games, but that she got killed. But I didn't really feel anything, and
Why
uh,
would you? Why do you believe you didn't feel anything when she
didn't
got killed?
yeah she didn't get any screen time, and there was I don't think there was any character development for her or very little about Katniss also. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just 2 seconds, Christian. I'll just take the
Yeah.
word from you, and you can talk right
It's fine.
after me. Uh, I think it was a very interesting concept when it comes to the Hunger Games. I think, like, when the movie came out, there wasn't any other movie like it, and
there
that's
wasn't.
very interesting to think about. There wasn't. There wasn't.
No, how you heard about the Hunger Games from Japan?
But okay, no one talks about that movie. Come on, come on. Let's be fair. No, but I actually agree quite a lot. I think the movie was rushed in many parts, and especially with Rue. Like, he died, and the movie made such a big deal about it. But
She.
really, yeah,
It's a
she.
she.
So, so really, like, he was just this one-dimensional character, and
Yeah.
that goes for many of the characters, but especially her. And like you said, she didn't get any screen time. So that would be a big complaint from me, at least.
Yeah, I would say basically the same as you two, and I would definitely like to see the other movies because I haven't yet. Because I think it's very interesting indeed.
Indeed.
But like the effects on the movie, they haven't aged well either. Uh, like the dogs on the end of the movie look awful. Like,
Were they good for their time?
no, I don't
Yeah,
think so.
I don't think this is like
Uh,
a
the
modern
effects
type of
weren't really
movie.
good. Like Iron Man and other movies came out like 5 years earlier.
That's
Wow,
true. That's very true.
right.
So, is there anything you want to add, or yeah, do we think we're done with the Hunger Games for today?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we got everything covered.
yeah,
Hmm.
hmm, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Tune in next week for the next episode of the podcast. Good night.
Yes.